Sathyam Sivam Sundaram, Volume 3, Chapter 16, Beacon of Bliss. The children of Satya Sai Balavihars must know the Satya Sai resides in their hearts. The teachers must also take it as the puja of Sai Ram. How to reveal to these children the Sai who is in their hearts? That is the problem you should set before yourself. By leading the children towards divinity, teachers are serving their parents and society, for they will cleanse and brighten their homes and surroundings, Baba said. Confusing and confounding stories depicting the illness of Baba and details of the operation that was not performed, generating distressing news that we would not be able to make a public appearance for months, filled the drooping hearts of devotees in Bombay with fear and anxiety. These uncalled for fear, the propagacy of rumor and hallucinations were allayed by Baba's presence at Dharmakshetra on Christmas Day. The gathering heard a long discourse followed by many bhajan songs from Baba. They heard the authentic version of the assumption of the illness and its equally sudden dismissal. Illness had appeared to affect that holy body, but in fact it cannot afflict it. It had been a passing phase belonging to someone, it came and went like a passing cloud. But I have no contact with it. Many people, however, have the courage to suggest to me ways and means of dealing with such situations. According to them, Swami should not allow illness of another to come upon him, causing sufferance to lakhs of people. Baba told the gathering that it is his duty to take upon himself the suffering of those who surrender to him. Likewise, it is the duty of his devotees too to suffer on that account. But the truth is, there is no suffering, and as such, no reason to get anxious. Christ sacrificed his life for the sake of those who put their faith in him. Service is God, sacrifice is God. That was his declaration. The whole world can derive joy from the divine assurance. Do not grieve, the Saviour who will take on your grief has come. On the first day of New Year, the Kamanis, the famous industrialist, had the privilege of welcoming Baba at Kurla. The community hall, which is commodious auditorium, was restricted by passes only. There was not an inch of space even to change one's sitting position. The auditorium consisted of workers and their families. The area was tastefully decorated with simple, unostentatious dignity. Television set provided the entire gathering with the thrill of darshan. The word of wisdom contained in the discourse delivered on January 1st, 1971 by Sri Satya Sai Baba at the premises of a massive industrial establishment in Bombay have great relevance to modern India. Commenting on this, the Bhavan's journal wrote, when a sage brings his mind down from the higher realms of beatitude to dwell on a mundane matter like employer-employee relations, the subject is bound to acquire a new dimension and a fresh sparkle of spirituality. While exalting the employees to develop the enthusiasm to earn rights by fulfilling obligation, Baba also exalted the employers to take care of employees and provide amenities to their children to develop a strong and virtuous character. To put it in the words of Divine Master, happiness and peace are mental conditions which grow in the soil of love and not of power, affluence, or skill. The tree of life yields as its most precious fruit the equality of love. Sweet fruits have bitter rinds. Their fruit too is encased in thick, bitter, sixfold rind, composed of lust anger, greed, attachment, pride, and hate. If these are negated and the rinds removed, the nectarine sweetness of love can be tasted and taken into the system. Those who make effort to explore into that treasure of love within, they alone can have the peace and bliss. Sadhana is the name of process by which man discovers the spring of universal love within him, by which he is privileged to share it with all beings. Riches of various kinds, possessions and power, name and fame, these are not of much worth. The precious possession called love is the very breath of life for man. A heart devoid of love is an altar plunged in darkness. Bats of evil passions will make it their home. They will render it dirty, stinking seat of chaos. Only the light of love can illumine the heart and drive away these vicious inhabitants. We have here gathered in thousands employees of the Kamani factories, the industrial, agricultural, mercantile, political, and administrative fields are the five vital heirs to the human community. They have to be healthy and harmonious so that mankind can live in peace and prosperity. If these five are aware of their inner interrelationship and interdependence, and if they lovingly cooperate in common endeavor, this country and the world too can celebrate each other each day as a festival day, can festoon each door still in green. But at present time the bond of love and mutual cooperation is absent. There are fractions in each of these fields, each producing in its own share of confusion, so the country is heading every moment into deeper and deeper anxiety. People are moving about in fear, grasping their lives in the palm of the hand, doubtful what the next moment holds for them. This is not a proper state of things to be welcomed. Emotions and passions have a way of suddenly rising into devastating floods. Really speaking, every worker has to earn the authority before standing forth as a part of the organization of which he is a limb. Emotion and passion have to rise out of earned authority. Now they surge forward from persons who do not carry out duties undertaken by them. Authority and influence have to emerge from the discharge of one's duty, then only will they be effective. We must be convinced that rights are deserved only by discharge of obligations. But today, agitation is only for rights. There is no enthusiasm to earn rights by fulfilling obligations. Everyone must work with the consciousness that duty is God and all the work is worship. If devotion to duty is developed, all the work is done as sincerely and correctly as acts of worship, then each one can be happy. Society will be free from discontent and misery. The Kamanis are fabricating transmission towers in their factory. Every person who is engaged in fabrication and erection has to carry out his work correctly and sincerely so that the towers may be strong and secure. Who among them does the more important item of work? It will be impossible to discriminate. Each item is important. Each worker earns his right by discharging well his particular share of the total obligation. There should not be any attempt to compare and claim superiority on or confer inferiority. Such attempts will only promote ill feeling and obstruct the flow of love and tolerance. Let us illustrate this by an example. There was a man going along a country road which whose eyes saw ripe fruits on a wayside tree. The eyes told him that they are desirable and would provide him a feast. So the mind got attached to them. The feet took him nearer the tree. The body was bent by the muscle of the back, and hand moved down to the ground. The fingers picked up a stone and clasped it. The shoulders gave the needed thrust when the hand threw the stone to the tree in the direction of the fruit. That made one fruit fall on the ground. But more items of work still remain to be done by the limbs of the body. The fingers have to pick it up, the hands has to offer it to the mouth, the tongue has to place it between the teeth, and the teeth have to chew it, and the gullet has to swallow it and send it to stomach. Now, which among these items are more important and which less? Which limb has done more and which less? Each limb has done its duty exactly when needed, to the best of its ability, and so the fruit on the tree reached the stomach of the hungry person. We must respect each worker as the contributor of a valuable share of a common task. Feel that all are divine, all are equally to be loved, and that is the sadhana that will bestow ananda on both individual and society. Doing the duty that had fallen to one's lot is the best way to make life worthwhile and to contribute the skill and intelligence one is bestowed with for the common good. That is the debt of one has to discharge for having come into the world embodied as human being. We have come into this world for the sake of eating and drinking. We eat and drink in order to live. We cannot live in order to eat and drink. We have to reach the higher, far higher goal, the presence of God, through the path of love. This is the higher duty, the most elevated item of the work we are engaged in. In the factory of in the factory, the body where we are, all our energies and skill have to be fully directed towards this effort, or else we may lay waste our lives in the chaos of emotional impulses. Of course, the question may be asked, who is God? Where can we find him? Who has seen him? I can tell you a story to elucidate this. A sannyasi monk wearing a gerua robe entered during his pilgrimage a village renowned for its godlessness. Seeing his robe, which indicated a person who had dedicated his life to God, a crowd gathered around him and started heckling him on the existence of God. Can you show him to us? They asked, and the monk said, I can. However, he called for some milk, evidently to overcome exhaustion. When the milk was brought, he stared into the cup for a long time in silence. The group of villagers got lost patience and clamored that God be shown to them as promised. They asked him why he was staring at the milk so long. He replied he had heard milk had butter in it, and so he was trying to see the butter. They laughed. They called him a fool and a simpleton. Don't you know that milk has to be boiled and cooled, curdled and churned before the butter can be seen as such clear and distinct? Now it is there in the milk in every drop, the monk said. There you have the answer to your question. God is everything and being in the universe. If you want to see him clear and distinct, you have to go through the various processes called sadhana. You can see him thereafter and not now by merely asking me. The essential ingredient of the sadhana is love. Love, sadhana without prema, love towards all creation, will reveal only Saturn. I shall explain this a little more. Around us now, here we have the radio waves carrying music from broadcasting station Bombay. We have the radio waves from Delhi also. In fact, we have here and now radio waves from station all over the world, though we are not able to see them or listen to the programs they carry. When we have with us a yantra called receiver, and when we adjust the wavelength to the station that transmits the program and tune the receiver correctly, then we can hear the music or the news. God, who is also here now, all around, can be cognized clearly by means of mantra, meditation on meaningful mystic formula. Have the mantra, concentrate on it, that is adjustment to the wavelength, with love, that is tuning in, and you become aware of God, that is listening to the omnipresent program. If the tuning in is not accurate, you run the risk of listening to the nuisance, not to the news. So too, unless love is poured out in profusion without any idea of self, you run the risk of cognizing devil, not God. And if you do not develop concentration, your mind will wander in many directions at once, causing confusion. Therefore, love is the best instrument to win grace. Draw everyone near as you draw your own brother and sister, and resolve to bear your responsibility with the utmost care and skill you are capable of. In fact, life as a worker is most valuable and fundamental. Work, worship, and wisdom are three stages on the Godward path. Work is the base, work that is dedicated, work that is done righteously and in reverence to others. The employer and the employee are bound close to each other, as close to each other as the heart and the body. There can be no heart without a body, no body without a heart. Both are essential for each other. The employer employee relationship is as the bond between a father and his children. It is only when such affection and regard prevail, when the atmosphere of brotherhood is recognized among workers, the mutual help and service can flourish. Under such conditions, each can fulfill his duty gladly and peacefully. When employees have any problem that worries them, they can place them before the employer, and both can discuss them calmly and sweetly without unnecessary passion, without arousing hatred or malice and spreading unrest among others. Above all, each person must be conscious always of his obligations as well as his rights. That is the basic requisite. The community center has been inaugurated by me just now. I suggest that you gather in the place once a month or more frequently, once a fortnight or once a week for satsang, when you can have bhajans, spiritual discourses, and other programs which will turn the mind towards the contemplation of the glory of God or the spiritual treasures in your own self. I desire also that children of the laborer be provided with schools where they will be initiated into bhajan, instructed into spiritual discipline and theistic belief, and inspired to develop strong and virtuous character. Discipline is the most essential equipment for man. The acquisition of discipline should be the primary goal of all endeavor. Life is rendered worthless and valid only when it is lived out in disciplined way. It is the great source of ananda for me to be with you. Let the new year bring you new opportunities to establish joy and peace in your hearts. The beginning of 1971 was conspicuous because of its auspiciousness for devotees in Bombay who had the benefit of Baba's immediate presence there. In the evening of the first day of January, Baba addressed a public meeting in the compound of Dharmakshetra. The sea of humanity seemed to overrun its precincts. John Hislop is inseparable from the paper and pen. Whenever he is in august presence, he jolts down notes of what he hears on spiritual matters from Baba. On this occasion, Hislop posted two questions, viz. What does Baba mean to me as a person born and educated in a foreign country? And what does Baba mean to the subtler aspect of me which has no nationality? These questions were answered by himself when he went on to state, He is the Lord of the heart. He has removed from my heart the hardness accumulated during the years and made it fresh, new, and joyous. The second question he answered, saying, Baba's divinity is an overwhelming and incomprehensible mystery. He is the supreme teacher. He guides us to liberation. Blessing the devotees, Baba told them to pray for peace and concord among communities and nations. Mankind must learn to live happily as one human family. During Baba's stay in Bombay, the children attended Bala Vihar classes, enacted plays, recited poems, sang bhajans, and repeated stories selected from the epics and Puranas. There were occasions when they felt so deeply the impact of Baba that they broke down in tears in sympathy with the character they were portraying. One boy, concluding his account of Bhagavad Gita with a great appeal to the Sai Krishna, who was standing beside him, sobbed in uncontrolled joy. No wonder Baba considered those children the Prahladas of present age. The children of Satya Sai Bal Vihars must know the Satya Sai residing in their hearts. The teachers must also take it as the puja of Sai Ram. How to reveal to these children the Sai who is in their heart? That is the problem you should set before yourself. By leading the children towards divinity, the teachers are serving their parents and society, for they will cleanse and brighten their homes and surroundings, Baba said. Talking to the members of service organization, Baba emphasized the role of sadhana, which leads man to self-realization, implying that all are waves of vast ocean called the higher self, Paramatma. Warning them against any display, pomp, and publicity, he advised them to link themselves with God by the chain of love through the recitation of name saturated with his lovable qualities. His name uttered in sloth or slight, in resentment or rancor, will constitute a weak link and the chain will not bind. The 7th January was Vaikuntha Ekadashi, the day on which the gates of heaven open. Baba observed these festivals in order to restore their significance. At the conclusion of the Khanda Bhajan on that day, Baba revealed the real meaning of Ekadashi, the 11th, when the 10 senses are coordinated and turned towards God, then doors of heaven will certainly open, welcoming you in the presence of the 11th, that is, God. Before leaving Bombay, Baba addressed members of Seva Dal. He said, Discipline comes to your rescue when the world storms around you with dark flood of hate or derision, or when those in whom you have put trust shun contact and shy afar. Crucify the ego on the cross of compassion, preparing yourself by all means for serving others with your specialized skill. When you are engrossed in such work, remove the ego with namasmaran, japam, dhyanam, and study. Baba exhorted them to lead simple life, not to wear gaudy and outlandish dress and manners, for they keep the common folk away from them. Test every gesture and mannerism, every habit and every whim of yours on this touchstone. Will Baba approve of this? During Baba's stay at Bombay, a unique book was dedicated to him by the members of Maharashtra branch of All India Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha, founded and directed by Baba. The president of the Sabha, Shri P. K. Sawant, declared that the book will light a path to Almighty. Shri V. S. Page, the chairman of Maharashtra State Legislative Council, said while offering the book at public meeting at Dharmakshetra, I sat on feet of Sri Sathya Sai Baba and started questioning him on many secrets of spiritual progress. He was kind enough to give his grace freely. Others of the Sabha participated in the process of questioning and learning. This is a faithful record of such divine dialogues which confer illumination to those who struggle in darkness of confusion. Baba explained that there seem to be three stages in life of bhakta. 1. Tavami Vaham, I am entirely yours. Here the bhakta completely surrenders himself to God without any reservation. Second, Mamayi Vatan, you are exclusively mine. Here the bhakta thinks himself to be chosen devotee of the Lord and starts to make a claim on him. 3. You alone are and I am not. I am yours and you are nothing but I. Here the bhakta sees God alone, everywhere, including himself. You cannot measure its potentiality nor gauge the significance of its mahima. It is aghamaya, unreachable, agochara, ununderstandable. Because of these, you get an example of divine attributes. In order to bear witness to this divinity that is amongst you, for your benefit and benediction, the linga emerges. If even these glimpses are denied, faith in the Supreme will vanish, and an atmosphere of greed, hatred, cruelty, violence, and irreverence will overwhelm the good, the humble, and the pious. The linga is an illustration of the limitless, formless, beginningless divine principle. Baba stayed at Prashanti Nilayam to assuage a large number of people who had come from long distance to fill their eyes and minds with the sanctity and evasion that the Lingodbhava gives, and to touch his lotus feet. After showering grace on them, Baba left for Vrindavan. The Satya Sai Seva Smiti Bombay had organized the first All India Bal Vikas Teachers Conference on 11th and 12th May. So Baba, in response to the prayers of the devotees of Bombay, visited that city for few days to bless the teachers. 404 teachers, crusaders of new Sai era of education, attended and were benefited by Bhagawan's counsel. Baba interpreted the usual invocatory verse on the Guru recited by a pupil and made it the text of his discourse. The Guru is Brahma because he said teaching is a creative activity. He is Vishnu because the teacher has to foster the child, guide him, and guard him. He is Maheshwara since he has to weed out deleterious components and undesirable traits and habits. The verse, which has been all along taken to mean conventional praise and glorification of teacher, does assume the role of a clarion call to the entire profession itself. That is the significance of sign touch. The Guru is praised as Parabrahma, the genuine supra soul, for he reveals to the pupil the reality that makes him free, he said. Recognize the vast potential lying dormant in the child, help it to express itself. For this reason, Baba suggested that the name of the classes for children should be changed from Balavihars for more than play and recreation What has to be done is to encourage the good, the true, the beautiful in the child to blossom, to express and expand. Bal Vikas, Baba said, is the more correct name. He wanted that the little children must be trained and encouraged to speak before gathering of devotees and even others, so that elders might learn from the lips of children what they refuse now to learn from those entitled to advise them. He appreciated the short speech given by a little pupil on film posters and the horrors they inflict. It was an eye opener to the elders who are tolerating such insults on the innocence and purity of home life. All over the country now, the tiny tots of Bal Vikas sing bhajans, draw pictures, paint, write stories, and relate them about heroes of the spirit and the great mothers of the land, and enact plays depicting elevating incidents from the Upanishad, Itihasa, and Puranas, as well as the religious literatures of all faiths. A big revolution in thought and in social relations is fast coming into fruition. The Maharashtra State Conference and Gujarat State Conference of the organization were held in May. Baba was present in Bombay for Maharashtra Conference. He sent a message of blessing to Dwarka for Gujarat Conference. I am watching the entire proceedings. Do not deplore that I am not present with you. I am present as eternal witness, he wrote. While returning from Bombay, Baba presided over the Mysore State Conference at Darbar. On the 14th, about 200 office bearers of the units from all parts of Mysore were charged with steadier faith and deep devotion for the work ahead. The college at Anantapur wrote Dr. S. Bhagawantam, DSc, is a concrete manifestation of something superhuman at an enormous cost of 4 billion rupees. Within a record time of 10 months, Baba has reared a structure which is good enough for a university. Who did all this work? Where have the funds come from? If you want to see divinity in action, you can find concrete evidence at Anantapur. It is something beyond the pale of human reason and mortal prowess. The college was to be inaugurated on 8th July 71 by President of India, although there seemed to be no sign or hope of completing the building by the stipulated date. Everyone swore that it was an impossible task. A big industrialist who had visited Anantapur a week before the inauguration said, "If I had applied all my energies with my entire organizational machine, I would have thought it would take another 6 months for completion of the work." The college building is the architectural archetype for Sai era in education for individuals and social uplift. Baba has the Sai emblem depicting the many facets adventure of man to realize the divinity inherent in him as his very breath, hoisted on the central tower as the symbol of hope and victory. The college building is full circle of charm and dignity. It symbolizes the fulfillment of the search called religion. It is Brahman, the beginningless and the endless, which a circle alone can represent. It is redolent with fragrance of the cultural heritage of India. It is resonant with the echoes of Sanatan Dharma. It carries sky high the lotus flower, Hridaya Kamala, which blossoms at the first touch of the rays of the rising sun, intelligence, reason. Baba has installed a clock on the tower so that time, the divine watchman, can awaken, hasten, and warn the process of teaching and learning, shaping and strengthening that happens in the college. Architects sat with Baba to translate his ideas on paper, but the supreme architect had it all in his will, and that was enough. The Anantapur College looks like a prayer rising up from the heart, a poem of praise for the giver of all good. The building is a miracle in a marble, brick and stone, color and light. On the day of the inauguration, an international gathering saw a constellation of great personalities. The President of India, Sri V.V. Giri, the wife of the President, Srimati Saraswati Giri, Governor of Mysore State, Sri Dharmavira, the Lieutenant Governor of Goa State, Sri Nukul Sen, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao, the Vice Chancellor of Venkateshwara University, Dr. Jagannath Reddy, Sri G.C. Venkana, and Sri M.N. Lakshmi Narasaya, Ministers of Government of Andhra Pradesh. It was a banquet of talent, authority, sacrifice, and patriotism. Above all, there was Baba, fresh as flower, beaming with a benignant smile, with no trace of his divine face of the exhaustion, worry, or anxiety that he had removed from the faces of even the busiest workers around him. The bright morning was rendered doubly bright by the light of love that shone on that face. Dr. Gokak, Director of Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, welcomed the distinguished guest. He communicated to everyone an awareness of the epochal character of the moment. The college and others that Baba had planned to establish in every state in India will inculcate Indian culture in its essence and purity. They will develop not only knowledge and skill, but balance, insight, and faith in unity of all religion and in reality of oneness. Dr. Bhagawantham, formerly Vice Chancellor of Andhra and Osmania Universities, said, "History has few parallels of a college that is so well equipped on the day of its inauguration." Dr. Jagannath Reddy spoke of the phenomenal growth of the college in a short span of 3 years. The Minister for Education said, "When Baba establishes a college for women, we can be certain that it will not be just one amongst many. It will be a beacon, a lesson for others, a model, a pioneer." Sri Brahmananda Reddy greeted the day as the festival for Andhra Pradesh and for Bharatiya culture itself. Sri Dharmavira felt that the college for women will be lasting benefit for the whole country, since educating a woman is educating the whole family. The president declared that it was a good augury for India that Baba is not only conferring spiritual enlightenment to millions, but granting proper type of education to the youth of the land. The 8th July 1971 was Guru Purnima, the full moon festival, dedicated to the primal spiritual preceptor Vyasa and also to the adoration of spiritual preceptor by aspirant. It is a day when millions seek to have darshan of Baba. It was Baba's will that the college in which Guru Shishya relationship of ancient India was to be revived should be inaugurated that day itself, for he had willed that women college at Anantapur must be shifted from a temporary sheds and rooms to its own magnificent home with the beginning of the academic year. Baba pointed out that as lava from subterranean fire, a huge upsurge of low desire is smothering man, though his chief desire should be the visualization of God in him and the cultivation of peace, beauty, truth, and love that are the marks of that divinity. Man has in him a fountain of joy, peace, love, and courage. Cultivate these by precept, example, and exercise. Then The educated men and women will have security and sweetness as long as they live. India is being forced into a Bhoga Bhumi, the land of luxury, a land of skyscrapers, tinned food, air conditioning, and television. Indians are being shaped into an imitative, insurgent, ill disciplined mass. They are being transplanted on other soils and encouraged to grow without roots. This is an insult to our past and a dangerous defiance of history. It is sacrilege on the sanctity of time, on the holy purpose of human body. That is the reason I have decided that this college has to be inaugurated on Guru Purnima Day, on Guruvar, Thursday, as a Gurukula, the hermitage school of ancient India, in which the highest ideals of life were instilled by personal example and guidance by the Guru to the pupil eager to imbibe. Baba concluded with the blessing: the seed has been planted, it will sprout and spread heavy with fruit, providing shade, security, and sustenance to all. The educational institutions started with blessing of Baba will not imitate nor help to forge out of competitive or compulsive society. They look forward with hope and envisage a society built on love and cooperation, blossoming the human spirit and the human community. Om Sai Ram. End of chapter 16.